Hi everyone, it's Kim here. By the time you watch this, I will either be in hospital or at home recovering from surgery. I'll be back in action soon, but this time I was actually kinda organised and pre-recorded some videos for release while I recover. Has anyone else ever noticed that in the Nintendo eShop there are always super cheap games available on the Nintendo Switch, and they're usually only a few dollars? These are the ones that are often 90% off, but never seem to actually be the full price in the store. Well, recently I decided that I should start a new little series reviewing these games, as it's so hard to know which of these games are actually terrible and which might actually be kind of good. Now, Tiny Lands kind of fits into this group of games. It's already not super expensive. The full price for this game is $9.99 in the New Zealand Nintendo eShop and $5.99 in the US eShop, but it's often on sale for $1.99, and for that price I had to give it a try. And as for the gameplay, Tiny Lands is a spot the difference game. You have two 3D lands in front of you, and your job is to find the 5 differences. This might sound kinda simple, however the differences are often harder to spot than you'd think. Many of the differences are small, subtle changes, such as maybe a small leaf being a different colour, or something being a slightly different size, and I really love that. It makes things when you're playing just that little bit harder than your usual spot the difference. And the fact that it's a 3D land is great too. You can spin the camera, zoom in, and often the differences can only be seen from one angle. I love the peaceful, cozy graphics for this game. The art style is so simple and yet lovely, and the music and sound is paired perfectly. I love that you can turn off the sound and music separately. However, I do wish that you could manage the levels for both, not just switch them completely on or off. There was one level with cicadas that got so loud that they overpowered the music, and turning down the sound off for that level was really helpful, but I do wish that I could have just turned the volume for the sound effects down so I could still hear them with the music, just not so loud that they were getting a little annoying. And the controls for this game are pretty easy once you get a hang of things. Most of them are straightforward, but there were certain things I kept trying to do with buttons that made sense in my head, but weren't the actual way to do them. One example of this is I kept trying to move the camera with the D-pad like you do in Animal Crossing New Horizons when taking photos, but really in Tiny Lands all you do is use the L and R buttons. When you find a difference between the two lands, you hover the cursor over it and tap A. This was sometimes a little bit of a struggle as the items were occasionally really small or quite slim, and you have to get the cursor perfectly directly on the item to select it. Using standard Joy-Cons, I found sometimes it took a few tries before I had the cursor directly on the item and the game would accept it, even though I thought I had it directly on top. I found the sensitivity for the game just the tiniest little bit high, so often I'd be slightly off and not realize. And unfortunately you can't change the sensitivity of the cursor in the game, so the best thing to do is if you spot a difference that's a small one, zoom right in on it first and you'll be fine. Now I can't tell you exactly how many levels there are to play in Tiny Lands, but what I can say is that there are a lot of them. When the game was first released in 2021, there were 50 levels split between 5 different worlds. I think there may have been a few updates since though, as there have seemed to be way more than 5 worlds now. I think I counted 10. And I think that's what impressed me most about Tiny Lands. They've managed to pack so much in for such good value for money. I can eventually see myself completing the game, but then being able to start over again right away because there are so many levels that I would have forgotten what was in the early ones, so it'll be like a new puzzle again. I played Tiny Lands on Nintendo Switch, but it is available on PC too. And part of me kind of hopes one day that it comes to mobile, as I think it would be kind of perfect for a mobile game. I had high hopes going into Tiny Lands that it would be a relaxing game for me to play in the evenings, and I am so glad it lived up to my high expectations. I found it really relaxing to play. Having no time limits and being able to go at my own pace really helped me relax. I do kind of wish there was an option to get the occasional hint though, as I really struggled finding some of the items. But that in itself is kind of a good thing, as it definitely extends the longevity of the game. I highly recommend Tiny Lands if you enjoy cozy puzzle games with a relaxing, peaceful, immersive atmosphere. And for the price, it's even easier to recommend it to you because I think it's great value for money. I would really love to find more simple, clean, relaxing puzzle games like this, so if you know of any others to suggest to me, please let me know in the comments. I really want to find them. And if there are any other budget games in the Nintendo eShop that you've been wondering are actually any good, let me know in the comments and I'll check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. Stay fresh, cheese bags. Bye.